I'd like to talk about an open mind and what I mean by that for me. But before we go into that, I would like to introduce myself. It's Ghazala at the Heart and Soul Cafe. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if you're here for the first time, pull up a chair and let's have a chat. So let's talk about having an open mind. When we talk about having an open mind, we usually are getting at, well, you need to be open to learning new things, to seeing things from other people's perspective, to be open to other ideas, different ideas that aren't yours possibly, but be open to learning. And that's what we need. We need an open mind, don't we, in order to learn something new. We hear it. I say it myself. Come in like to a workshop. Come in with an open mind. To come in to be open to other perspectives, other points of view that aren't yours, but not necessarily wrong. Okay. So in this instance, because I've shared that I lost my son very sadly just over 4 years ago, and I counsel, befriend, support women who have also experienced child loss. And so what I'm actually getting at is when I'm talking to someone who is maybe struggling mentally, so with their mental health, for whatever reason, might be depression, maybe anxiety, and if I'm talking to someone and supporting someone who is grieving, as am I, but grieving due to a loss of a loved one. Sometimes what I find is the person, now this is my point of view, okay? This is my opinion. I feel that they have closed their mind to things. And when I say this, what I mean is they get so used to, and so, because we're quite habitual characters, we're quite habitual creatures, let's say. We get into habits, we get into ways of doing things, and I also do that too. But I feel that we can have positive habits and negative habits, okay? And we can find ourselves in habits and rituals, and the structure to our day can be, yes, there's things going on, but it's the root of what you're feeling and thinking is actually quite negative, and it's stagnant. And that's really what I'm getting at here. I find that sometimes I'm counseling, supporting women who have got into almost a habit of a way of thinking and a way of living their life, okay, because they're grieving, okay. I am also grieving, but I don't spend hours and hours and hours in my room, in my bedroom, locking myself away from the world, locking myself away from my own life. Because if I've cocooned myself up in my room, I'm not opening myself up to what's going on out there. Okay? If I'm not opening myself up to it, I'm not opening up my mind to it either. I'm getting very used to grieving this way. This is my way of grieving. But grieving can change. It can evolve. It can move forward and change. That does not mean to say that you no longer, love the person that you've lost. It doesn't mean that you have fixed yourself and you are now free from grief. It doesn't mean that either. It doesn't mean that you've forgotten them. Absolutely not. Those of us who have lost a loved one know that we will never forget. We will never move on from. We will never get over. We won't. But how we are grieving is something that can change, can evolve in time so that we can live our lives to the best of our ability. and still grieve. We can still cry, and we can feel joy, and we can laugh simultaneously, because we're quite exceptional creatures and we can do that. Yeah. So when I talk about opening up our mind and having an open mind, it's to open ourselves up and think, the way I am living my life and the way I'm thinking doesn't necessarily mean that this is the only way. I can open myself up to different perspectives. And I can do that really by talking to others and sharing with others. And I talk a lot about finding your people, because that's important. Finding your people is important because you're talking the same language. You find people that have experienced similar things to what you've experienced. Their experience of that, let's say if it's loss or mental health struggles, isn't going to be exactly like yours. You're not going to feel what they're feeling. But there's a point of connection. There's a point of relating to somebody. When you relate to someone, you feel a connection. You feel, I'm around people who have similar kind of scars to mine. Yeah, and similar kind of experiences, similar kind of kinds of things that they may have gone through in their life, which means that we can relate. You know, we have a connection, and that is really what I'm talking about. I sometimes am counselling, supporting people who have just closed themselves up from their friends and relatives and people because they say, I don't know how to show up. I don't know how to. And the reason really why they maybe are feeling that way is because of the stigma as well around mental health, still around grief as well, but there's still people who, well, they don't know what to say, so you don't want to be around someone who doesn't know what to say because that's all so awkward, and it's it's this, and it's socially draining. Someone used the term, my social battery runs out very quickly, and I thought that was a fantastic analogy to use. Yes, your social battery may run out, run low very, very quickly because it's so draining and it's such hard work showing up, possibly wearing a smile, possibly wearing a mask, and that's not actually how you feel. When you're around people that you feel don't get you and you can't relate to them, that's probably how you're going to show up. You're going to show up with a smile and it's all quite false. Yeah. And when someone then asks you, how are you doing? And you say, well, I'm okay, I'm fine. And that's how we would respond to that. Whereas what we really might be feeling and thinking is, well, actually, I'm not okay. Actually, I'm really struggling right now. I could do with, someone who'd, listen to me, someone who I could share with, someone who's not going to roll their eyes, up at you, someone who's not going to raise their eyebrows and think, oh God, how long is she going to be? Someone who's not going to do that, or here we go again, that kind of thing. And you're only really going to find that if you find people that you can relate to, and you can open up your mind to new ideas and new ways of living our own life, and maybe changing the way we are thinking. And so having an open mind for me is, yes, living my life to the best of my ability, and to be open to new ideas and new concepts and new perspectives, things that I have not maybe, I've not discovered, I've not investigated, I've not, avenues I've not been down. Yeah. And someone could open up a door to somewhere new. I didn't know this existed. Well, yes, there's lots out there that we don't know exists until we go out looking, until we go out and open our minds to it. Yeah. So the reason for me to do this video is because I feel that there's so many people around me that I talk to and that I connect with that are sort of in this little bubble, and they've just kept themselves in there because and I understand, it's safe. It's a safe place. It's the safest place you can create for yourself. But it doesn't mean to say that there isn't other safe places that you haven't discovered, you haven't explored. So to have an open mind is to be open to that there may be other things out there that I could try, other people out there who I could maybe relate to, other people out there that may, show me, new ways of living the rest of my life. But I have to start with this here. And that is to open up your mind, first of all. Yeah. I had a client a few weeks ago, and I've mentioned this, and obviously she's completely anonymous, but she said something that I thought was so wonderful. She said, I'm feeling this way. We spent maybe 40 minutes talking about how much she's struggling and and about the pain she was in after her loss. But then towards the end of the conversation, she said, but Bizala, I don't feel that I want to stay here, forever. I want to live my life. And I thought, wow, what a celebration, because in order for you to say that out loud, first of all, you've realized that yourself, I don't want to be here in this place for the rest of my life. This is awful. And awful as it is, having a loss and living with a loss and grieving, it doesn't mean to say that you can't, live your life with what it is that you're carrying. And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about open your mind. Open your mind to other things. Having an open mind means that we can allow other things in, and we can evolve, and we can grow, and we can change, and we can be the best version of ourselves. And that is something to celebrate, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you for watching this video. I do really appreciate it. I hope that you could share it with someone if you feel that that person might benefit from the content of the video. Please do like, please do subscribe, please do. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed. It means so much to me. Thank you so much. But we need many more people to subscribe for it to become, something, more meaningful, to reach out to more people. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, look after your hearts and souls. Thank you.